Okay, this is Tommy with AAA Exterminating Company. On a Saturday, a little cloudy today, but still, we're still out here doing it. Headed to Clayton to do a evaluation for a realtor that we do some work for. She's got a listing. They had a showing and got some negative feedback. Possibly some moisture issues going on. She might be a little worried that they got a capsule in the crawl space. What kind of work needs to be done? Do they need to do major work, or is it something that can be handled a little easier? So I'm going to go over there and do an evaluation, take a few pictures, make a little video for her so she can see exactly what's going on. She doesn't have to take anybody's word for it. I'll show her exactly what's happening in the crawl space. Okay, we're up here at the front of the house, and got a little bit of a termite tunnel right there. But so far, I have not seen any damage, which is a good sign. So far, it does not look like a whole lot's been done. However, I'm not done though. I don't want to say too much, but we do have some termites here, and I don't see any signs of a proper treating in this area. So this might be an issue whenever you have a buyer, come and do an inspection on the house. We definitely want to address the termites. That'll be one less thing to worry about, and that's not too big of a deal. Got some growth going on in some of the wood, but overall so far it looks pretty solid. Nothing that can't be dealt with so far. So let me keep going and see what else we find. Okay, and we definitely got some growth. This is probably having to do with what's being smelled. There's like an odor of just kind of a stagnant kind of odor. That's probably what they're talking about. Got this growth around here. This kind of stuff can be cleaned up, and the main thing is the moisture. That's what's going on here, and it's actually a good place to make the point about the seasonal nature of the moisture down here in the southeast. What goes on in a house like this, for example, you can see here this house is under contract, and they've been inspecting it, and this is good. They're indicating they did moisture meter readings here, and they found this is the level, and so at in 9/6/18. So last year in September, they had a reading of 20% here in this area. Now see, right now, it's only about 17-18%. And so that's because right now it's April. And so we're early spring, so the moisture's just starting. Another interesting thing is you can see about the same time every year they check this. So in 2015, it was 19%, 19%. I think it was 22% in 2014. It must have been a wet year. So it's kind of, I believe these guys are probably actually checking it, and they're writing down their findings. But it's very, very seasonal. So late summer is when you're getting, late summer right before you get in the fall is when you're getting this high moisture around here. And so it's spiking up. And you can tell, obviously, with the growth going on, that at certain times of year, that moisture gets really high. So one of the issues is, and I'm not sure if this company had told them to do a new vapor barrier, but see, this vapor barrier has very poor coverage. Now, at the time this was put down, if this was put down, say, 10 years ago or whatever, this is probably just fine. This is the way they told you to do it. But now we know a lot more, and we know that we need to cover 100%. So basically, this vapor barrier needs to be replaced. They probably need to do some disinfecting of some of this growth to kind of get it out of here, take away that musky odor. But it's nothing that can be handled. This is not a bad situation. This kind of thing can be easily handled. I would also contact that company about the termite evidence up there, because there's no drilling in that wall, and I'm sure they would want to know about that. Maybe it wasn't here last September whenever they came here and looked, and they probably want to come here and drill that. I usually recommend if there's a termite contract currently in place, if you can, just keep it going. See if you can transfer it when a new buyer gets in the house. I think that's the best way to go. These guys have been watching the house, and I wouldn't say they've done a terrible job or anything. And that will save you the cost of doing a treatment. So if you can transfer the contract, just do that and let them keep going with it, and let them keep an eye on the house. The evidence I saw up there definitely could have been here since they were here last. Unless they have a record of it, we'll see. But nothing too scary here so far, actually. Now, this is not part of my expertise, but I always like to, whenever I see this kind of thing, I'll give you kind of a heads up. We got some uncovered junction boxes here that some splices were done. I know this usually gets called out during inspection, so it would be probably a good idea to maybe have someone ride out here and take a look at that, and maybe make sure it's correct, clean it up a little bit, and make those proper. You don't want all those wires exposed like that. But basically, the situation in this crawl space is not quite as bad as it might seem. This all needs to be cleaned out. The crawl space needs to be cleaned up. All this old plastic needs to be gotten out of here, and we need to put new plastic down. You might want to consider sealing up the vents and putting in a dehumidifier just to control the humidity, but I don't think it's necessary. But you know, that'll be up to you guys. That might be a good idea, because we saw that spike in the late summer, and as long as the vents are not sealed, that spike could possibly continue because it's coming from the air outside. So that would be something to consider. But we'll do an estimate and price everything up for whatever we can do to help. I would definitely recommend getting all this out. Clean all this wood debris out of here. This is usually something we don't want to see when we're doing inspections. That'll definitely get listed, so it'd be a good idea to just get this out of the way, just in case there's something in here and someone calls it. There might be a little old evidence of termites somewhere in some of this wood. It's better just get rid of it. You know, that way you don't have to worry about it. Okay, so as you can see, the crawl space in that situation is not all that bad. There's some things that need to happen though. First, I think it needs to be cleaned out. It needs to be disinfected. I suggest a mold disinfectant cleaner be fogged into the crawl space. I think that's probably the most effective thing for this situation. We can use a ULV fogger. We can put an Antibec cleaner and fog the area, and that will kind of knock down the organic growth going on in the crawl space. And the heavy areas you probably want to clean, get the heavy areas taken care of, get that out of there. But I think that's probably the best approach there. You want to clean it all up. You want to get a new vapor barrier down, and that's going to definitely help with the moisture. But you may also want to consider possibly at least sealing up the vents, maybe installing a dehumidifier. I'm going to do an estimate for doing all of that, and kind of itemize it and see what they choose to do. Honestly, I think doing the disinfectant type thing, cleaning it up a little bit, and doing a new vapor barrier is probably going to do the trick in this situation. But I'll do an estimate for you know, adding a dehumidifier, sealing up the vents, and they can decide if they want to do that or not. But like I said, not too bad of a deal. Also, I wanted to make the point for just in case any other exterminators watch these videos. In this situation, okay, there's a company that has this house under contract. It's an active termite contract. Now I went there and I find there's a termite tunnel hidden behind some insulation behind the front porch. Now there's not a lot of damage there, and they came and checked the house back in September. Now what happens a lot in our business is people will throw the other guy under the bus, and I don't like to do that, because here's the thing about that termite tunnel that I found. It's a very small area. There's not a lot of damage that I can see going on there. It is very possible that when they came and checked that house back in September, that termite tunnel may not have been there. Termites could definitely have built that tunnel since that time. You know, so I don't know what it looked like when he was inspecting it, you know, a few months ago. So I think one important thing, is like 6 or 7 months ago. I think one important thing that we all kind of got to consider is be a little bit better to each other, and don't try to constantly throw each other under the bus. I don't think that this is a gross negligence thing. I don't think they necessarily missed anything. It just, you know, I saw something the other guy may not have seen, or it may not have been there. But I still suggest to keep the contract in place that's in place now. They've come there every year. They're writing down their moisture readings. They're writing in different locations in the crawl space. I can tell that someone's going in that crawl space. They're going to all 4 corners of the crawl space. So I think they've done a good job. So I would suggest keeping this contract, seeing if they can transfer it, and keeping them checking that crawl space every year. But I think that's the way we should kind of handle each other when we're doing inspections on a house. Someone else may have inspected it. Someone else may have it under contract. There's no reason to cause any kind of ruckus or any kind of fear, because it messes up the whole thing. If I go there and I start, you know, trashing the other company, and this real estate agent's got this deal in place, he's trying to get this house sold, all that's going to do is cause problems. If we're cordial to one another and just say, look, they might want to go over there and do a treatment and make sure they've got that under control, but continue the service. You know, we all work together. We all make everything work out without a bunch of complications. I think we're all better off doing that. But I appreciate anybody who watches these videos. If you can, like them and subscribe to our channel, and we'll try to keep good, informative videos coming. We're not constantly trying to sell you something. I just want to put out good, honest information so you see exactly what it is we do and exactly what we're talking about when we report certain things. But we appreciate you watching.